Hello there, everyone. How are you? Happy Higher Self Wednesday. Hope all is well with you. You're doing good. Life's treating you good. You're going to meetings. You've got your sponsor going on. And you're just enjoying things and enjoying life. My name is Karen White, and I am the author of this book called Changing the Game Plan, which is my 12-step journey of how I work the 12 steps. And it's a workbook. It is 56 pages, and it's just broken down step by step, precept by precept of how I work the steps. It's divided into two parts. It's divided into sponsor and sponsee part and what you're supposed to do, each of you. And this is how over 35 plus years in both sides, the non and the addictive side, I have been able to work this wonderful program. And my sponsors, what I did is I took everything that my sponsors had guided me through and put it together. And for years, I've been working this. And it took me 5 years to put this book together. And that's just a story all by itself, because I had been working this technique with other people, helping them, and I've helped hundreds, maybe even thousands of people in recovery to really change and really get on the path of life that they need to get into, just working these steps and the way that I work them. This is, like I said, a workbook. It's meant to work with a sponsor, a clergyman, a therapist, or something. It is not meant to work alone. I only use 4 books in this program. I use the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, which I always say that is the 12-step Bible. I don't care what program you're in, you will need this. And it doesn't matter what program that you're in when you work the steps this way that I share with steps. This is built on the principle of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and how it tells us to work the steps. And now it's over 200 programs that use the steps. And so you can use this book no matter where you're at. I use the AA 12 and 12. I use the Al-Anon 12 and 12, and then I use the ODAT. And the reason those are the 4 books that I use is because those are the 4 books that were used on me for years, because we didn't have a lot of books. I remember when the Courage to Change book came out for the first time. So I've been in these rooms for a long time. So I remember, a lot of things. So those were the only 4 books we had. And the AA 12 and 12 and the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous is for the addictive side, but also the Big Book is on the non-side too. And you have the Al-Anon 12 and 12 and the ODAT, which if you're in Nar-Anon or CODA or whatever, you need those books because that are the original books on the family or the friends of the addictive personality that you're dealing with, how to do that. So the book is available to you on Amazon. Thank you so much for all your support and all your comments and your likes and stuff. And hit the like button. And if you hit the bell right now, when I post the videos every Wednesday at noon, it will let you know that they're out there. Use these videos however you want to use them. Send them to friends, family, or whatever. The book is available on Amazon.com. And also, if you want to reach out to me, go to programchild.net, because I know a lot of you have been asking me, can you speak in my meeting? Can you speak in my conference? Yes, if I'm available, I can do that. Go to programchild.net, and under the comments, there's a contact part, and just fill it out, and it will get to me, and I will get right back to you. That's the way that I talk to people, through that section, okay? So are you ready? This is Higher Self Wednesday, and we are here to do what? Study the steps. And this is the 5th month, and where are we at? Step 5. And I tell you, it's been good. If you haven't gotten the last few videos, go back and look at them. And we've been talking step 5 at a really deep level, the level that the program teaches us to talk about it. And today we're going to do it out of the AA 12 and 12. And as you know, I believe that in order to work a step, you need to look up every single word in the step so you'll know the true meaning of what all those words mean and why Bill and Dr. Bob put them together like that. So I always start off Higher Self Wednesday with the definitions of these words. So step 5, admit it to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Admit means to allow scope for, to concede as true and valid. Allow. To means in one direction, toward a person or a thing. God, your relationship that you have with God. To means in one direction toward a person or a thing. Ourselves is a reflective form of we. It's used intensely with we. And that's funny because in all the steps, there's a we, a us, a them, or something that lets us know that we are not alone. And I'm telling you, if you're out there, you are not alone. There's millions like you out here. You are not as unique as you think that you are. And therefore, if there's millions out there, there's a lot of help for you if you open your mind and you become willing to do what these books and this program suggest for you to do. And means along with, in addition to. Another means one, more, or additional. Human means a person, not perfect, just used. It says being, the state of quality of having existence. To that extent. Exact, strictly and completely in accordance with fact, not deriving from the truth or reality. Isn't that something? Exact means that. Strictly and completely in accordance, and you're getting ready to do this, deriving from truth and reality. Nature, the basic character or quality of humility. Of, caused by, resulting from. Ours, of, belonging to, or associated in some way with us. Unfair, unjust. You know, I could teach just right here on these definitions alone because it's so powerful that they would even start admit to concede is true and valid. That's what admit means. And two, in one direction, you're going to a new direction in your life. God, you know, finding that relationship. Two, in one direction. Again, it says two twice. In one direction. I love it. I could just teach on this, and maybe one day I'll just do that. Teach on the definitions of every single word in the steps because they're so powerful and they're in precise order for our recovery and so that we can get the understanding that we need. Because, you know, I always say, we're 12-step people. We don't change unless we understand. So let's jump in and let's see what everything says about this. I have notes on step 5 that I'm going to be using as well. I'm going to be talking from the AA 12 and 12 on step 5. So I have page 55. I'm going to start there, and I'm going to try to get through as much as possible today. But there's no way that I can get through it all because it's just too much to contain. And we're going to start with the fact that it says, the very first line says, all of the AA 12 steps asks us to go contrary to our natural desires. Asked us to go contrary to our natural desires. Isn't that powerful? And let me tell you, step 5, the way we're going to study it today, is going to really more than likely tell us why it's so important that we do this 5th step. And in the midst of it, I'll be sharing with you a little bit more about how to do it and why we do it like that. And that's why I go back and look at the other videos because I talk about that when I talk about it at the level of the Big Book. But today we're going to study why it is important for us to do this. Because if we don't, it says in the same paragraph, the first paragraph, but scarcely any step is more necessary. So let's go back. But scarcely any step is more necessary to long-time sobriety and peace of mind than this one. The fifth step is so important. The fifth step is what changes things, changes your perspective, gets it out of you, gets you cleaned up. The fifth step, I always say the fifth step is a surgery step. It just, all the steps are really, but this one here just really cleans you out. It gets down to the root of things and why you're thinking like you're doing. And the only way you can do that is admit to God, to yourself, and to another human being the exact nature of your wrong in that order. And I shared that in previous videos, how important it is to admit to God. Start with your spiritual part first, and then take care of yourself, your understanding and your anger with yourself, and then go and talk with somebody that has the experience, strength, and hope to help you get over and overcome this stuff. So let's go down to the second paragraph. It says, AA experiences taught us we cannot live alone with our pressuring problems and the character defects which causes or aggravates them. Isn't that powerful that it says that? We cannot live with the pressing problems. We've tried. That's why we're in these rooms. I feel like I've heard people say you have to bottom out, but I think when you come in these rooms, that's the first part of the bottom. Now, some of us have to go deeper to the ground. But if you can just come in here and bottom at that point where you have just decided to even peek in and see if this is for you, it is. And just stay around long enough, you will hear your story. It says also in that same paragraph, if we have come to know how wrong thinking and actions have hurt us and others, then the need to quiet living by ourselves with the tormenting ghost of yesterday gets more urgent than ever. I love that. If we have come to know how wrong thinking and actions have hurt us and others, that is the only way that you can do that. Hurt you and others is by doing the fifth step. And you want to know. You do. Deep down in your heart, I know you want to know. You know, why you keep hurting yourself, why you keep hurting others. You don't mean to hurt you. You don't need to hurt others. Well, get this fifth step going, and you will know how. And you will change. You will change. The third paragraph says, so intensely through it are fears and reluctance to do this that many AAs at first try to bypass step 5. We search for an easier way, which usually consists of generally and fairly painless admissions. Isn't that funny how we want help, especially when we come in here. But let me tell you something. If you work steps 1 through 4, and you work, by this time you're really working steps 1 through 3, and you're coming to do the fourth and the fifth step together, which is the fifth step. That's how I work it. But if you work those, you will come to know that all the admission, just in working those steps, you get freer to do this stuff as you go along. And all it's doing is opening up for you to be able to do the things that you need to do to get your life back. So you can move on to steps 6 and 7. So you can move on to 8 and 9. Can't do 8 and 9 first unless you do 1 through 7. So it's very powerful. And I get this, you know, it says we usually want a fairly painless admission. Well, but if you do this right and admit to God yourself and get to someone else, it is much less painless when you get to your sponsor, because I tell you, going through God and admitting this fifth step to Him was very, very powerful for me. It was very powerful. And to stand in front of a mirror, like my sponsor had me do, and to talk about and read this whole 4th step in a mirror to myself, very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. And it took a lot of the pain. It took a lot of the pain away. It says, and I love the part that it goes on to say that our friends probably know the sickness about us anyway. Anyhow, and it's so funny because, when I came in this program, I thought I was covering up so many things with makeup and just always, trying to be and act. I always say we're some of the best actors you've ever seen. But it wasn't working because everybody was seeing this. And it's so powerful to know that everybody was seeing this. And it goes on page 56 at the first paragraph. It says, certain distress or humiliating memories we tell ourselves ought not to be shared with anyone. And that's important because it says those will remain our secret. Not a soul must ever know. We hope they'll go to the grave with us. That's how we're feeling. We're thinking these secrets can't go anywhere else. You know why? Because we've been hurt. Most of us have tried to tell our past or our problems to somebody, and it hasn't worked out. They've turned around. They've given us bad advice, or they've talked about us. They've told our deep, dark secrets. So now we're in this room, and we're thinking, now you want me to talk to somebody I just met. Yes, I do. Because in these rooms is something about when we practice the principles of these programs, we learn anonymity. And this is where you're going to get the help. And this is where you're going to get the truth, because the other person is sharing with you their experience, strength, and hope. And it can't help but to do but one thing: heal you. So yes, you don't have to carry that anymore. And I like this second paragraph. It says, yet, if AA experience means anything at all, this is not only unwise, but is actually a previous resolve. Few muddled attitudes have caused us more trouble than holding back on step 5. Some people are unable to stay sober at all. Others will relapse periodically until they really clean house. Isn't that important? And I wrote on here, without taking this step, we're in trouble. I wrote that in a bracket. Without taking this step, because that's what it says. Without taking this step and cleaning house, we're in trouble. And at this point, we don't want to go back. I didn't. I know I wanted to go forward. I didn't know how. I didn't know what else was lying, because after 1, 2, and 3, that was pretty powerful doing the 1, 2, and 3. And so after getting through that and then getting to 4 and 5, it was like I was going down this dark hole. But every time I went down this dark hole, all of a sudden I was seeing all this light, and it was so powerful. And it goes on to say on page 56 in the second paragraph, it goes on to say, they will tell us how they tried to carry the load alone, how much they suffered in anxiety, remorse, or depression, and how, unconsciously seeking relief, they would sometimes accuse even their best friends of the very character defects they themselves were trying to concede. That happens a lot before we come in this program, because one of the things that I remember so much about me is when I judged other people on their character defects, and I didn't know they were character defects, it made me feel good about mine, and it made me not have to take care of mine. I was taking care of yours, and I didn't have to. And I wasn't the sick part about it. I wasn't self-consciously hearing myself give the advice that I needed for myself. And I was becoming very judgmental and thinking that I was better because they had it worse than I had it, or however I was thinking. It was very, very sick thinking. But, today, thank God, it's not like that. On the next paragraph, the very last paragraph, it says, this practice of admitting one's defects in to another person, of course, very ancient. It has been validated in every century, and it has characterized the lives of all spirituality-centered and truly religious people. And this isn't what Bill Nim taught us. It's just that they were able to put it in such language of understanding for people like us that we want to change. We can feel when I read the pages of these 12 and 12, the AA 12 and 12 right now, I can feel it in me. It's like mentholatum or peppermint or something is penetrating me. I want it. I feel that that it's true, and I want to do that. And that's what happened to me when I read all this to prepare, because I had read all this to prepare for the fifth step. And I put on the side confession. And then if you go down a little bit in the middle of it, it says psychiatrists and psychologists point out the deep need every human being has for practical insight and knowledge of his own personal flaws, and for the discussion of them with an understanding and trustworthy person. That is such a need. And a lot of times it's been unfortunate because we've tried to use our husbands, our parents, our sisters, our brothers, people that this was not supposed to be done with. This is supposed to be done with a trusted person, another person like you, another person that has the ways that you have, the feelings about things that you have, and has corrected it. And you need to share it with somebody that has the understanding to know how deep this is for you, how much this means to you, that you don't need it to leak out. You don't need to be judged. You need that type of trustworthy person. That's what the AA 12 and 12 is talking about when they talk about a trustworthy person. Somebody that's not going to judge you, somebody that's going to love you and stay in there with you and hang in there with you. It's just a beautiful thing. And it goes on, and I put in there, need to know on the side. It says, without a fearless admission of our defects to another human being, we could not stay sober, sane, nothing. Either side of this room you're in, you can't do it. You just can't do it. It's hard. And I went, without a fifth step, we can quit doing what we are doing. We can. Without a fifth step, we cannot quit doing what we're doing. It also says, it seems plain that the grace of God will not enter to expel our destructive obsessions until we are willing to try this. And I love the fact that it says willing to try. Just become willing to try. And I'm going to read one more thing. The first part of this, it says, what are we likely to receive from step 5? For one thing, we shall get rid of the terrible sense of isolation we've always had. Almost without exception, alcoholics are tortured by loneliness. And no matter how many friends you have or how many people you have, when you're feeling like that, you are tortured. And on the inside, you are feeling a loneliness like you've never felt before. And I understand that so well because I felt that until I did a fifth step. And I have never been the same again. There is so much more to this. Keep reading, keep going through the AA 12 and 12, and get well. Do the fifth step. Prepare for this fifth step. If you haven't done the fifth step and wherever you're on, start with 1, 2, and 3 and lead up to this. Get a sponsor. You gotta get a sponsor. If you're in therapy and your therapist can do this, that's great. But these things take a lot of hours. And if you're in the 12-step program, I believe that you're better off getting a sponsor, because a sponsor can put the hours in that you need to get well. We put in a lot of hours as sponsors, and my sponsor put in a lot of hours with me. And that's what this program's about. These people spend lots of time. They don't leave you until you get it. And that's what you need. No matter how long it takes, they are willing to be with you until you get it. So stay in these rooms. Do not leave these rooms. Make yourself, force yourself. And you'll get to the point where you'll start loving them, and you'll just want to be there, and you'll just want to be going to meetings, and you just want to call your sponsor. I remember I had to call my sponsor for 30 days, and after that, I never quit calling her every day for 6 months, because I loved it so much. And she told me, she said, you know, the 30 days are up. And I said, yeah, but can I call you every day? She said, you can do whatever you want to. That's what you get in this program, the dedication, because my sponsor had been sick too, and she got help. And she knew how important it was for me to get help. And she wanted me to feel like she felt. And that's what these people give you in the program. Well, we're through for the day. I like to keep these, like I said, under 30 minutes so they won't be too long for you. I really enjoyed being with you. I hope you're enjoying all this, and keep coming to these Higher Step Wednesday videos and use them to show other people the program, and use them to make yourself study, and keep studying your literature. And remember what I always say. Go to meetings, get a sponsor, and get well. Choose you today. Fight for you today. Stay with it. Stay with it. Even if you feel like it's not working, it's working. Just stay with it, and it will break. I promise you. Stay with it. Well, I'll see you next week, and blessings over you today, great people.